always has and always will be the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions. When you recruit at a high level, when you scout at a high level, and those players develop into being all-time greats, when you get five-star level recruits that come in here and develop and work and become one of the greats, that is what leads you to championships. And not only is LSU baseball doing it, but so is LSU football, as they got a massive commitment today from Trenton Henderson out of Pensacola Catholic, Pensacola, Florida, a guy that we're going to talk about a lot here tonight. I would anticipate, if I were an LSU fan, for some of these things to really start hitting home. I would think that LSU will start going on, a little bit of a heater here. Need to play some catch up. Got a lot of talented individuals that will be committing soon. Five-star athlete or offense or defensive lineman, considering how you dictate him in being so. Lamar Brown will also be committing this month. One of the top players, not only in the state, but the entire country. You also win at a high level when you recruit at a high level on both lines of scrimmage. It is a fact. It will always be a fact. It will remain to be a fact that when you recruit at such a high level on both lines of scrimmage, that's what gives you hope that you can make a push for, at the current moment, what is a 12-team playoff system that feels very sure to be coming, that it will be a 16-team playoff before it's all said and done. But, you know, there is one thing, and we're going to talk about Trenton Henderson here tonight. It is one thing to start off with in talking about recruiting, but I got to get to this before we get moving. In case you missed the news, yesterday, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate reported that LSU, in the attempts to regain some money for the athletic department, has filed a situation with the NCAA to have patches on their jersey from sponsors to help regain $20+ million that now, with the House settlement case, they have to pay student athletes. This is, and will continue to be, one of the biggest hurdles that athletic directors around the country have got to overcome now that the House settlement case is forcing them to give more teams and athletic scholarships across the board, as LSU is giving 60+ new scholarships. It's going to give LSU, as an example, a leg to stand on. But today, Zach Barnett of Football Scoop, massive website, I guess you would say. I guess he's the CEO. I have no clue. Never met Zach Barnett. I'm sure he's a great guy. But there has been a lot of pushback, and even from some of the fans, Blake, I don't want a logo on an LSU jersey. It just makes it look bad. You mean how, like, when in 2019 LSU went to the playoffs and they had a massive-ass Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on their jersey when they're in the bowl game? What's the difference there? Well, Blake, we're in a bowl game. This is for the entire season. Who gives a shit? Guys, if LSU, who now is going to have to spend the least amount that they will spend moving forward in $20.5 million for TV revenue for athletes, would you rather an LSU that has the fortitude and feels as if that they have the financial strength to go out there and make moves, or would you rather the jersey be clear? You know, some of you in this chat have been in situations where you've made a lot of really good money. And if you are one of the individuals that has made really good money in your life, When you want something and you have financial freedom, you will go and do the things that you need to do. You know, a lot of you have called on LSU to make changes with men's basketball. They need a new arena. The PMAC is falling apart. They need to invest more in men's basketball. It's falling apart. Guys, now having to pay $20.5 million, how do you think that they're going to get by in doing all of these things with the hurdle of Title IX, with all of the hurdles to overcome? I know that some of you do not like the idea of Raising Cane's and Ty Graves putting a massive ass patch on every LSU football jersey. I get why you wouldn't like it. But if Ty Graves spends $20 million a year to put a patch on a football jersey that gives the football team the financial freedom to go out there in recruiting and negotiate for five-star athletes, which, by the way, you are under a cap with the $20.5 million, but you can give however much you want to give to each individual player and athlete. There is no ramifications. Now, LSU will put percentages on what football and baseball and basketball and everything gets, as Wilson Alexander reported on. It's of my humble opinion that baseball needs more money and basketball does not. At some point, you got to prove, and something that you can change every single year, you need to give Jay Johnson more money. That's neither here nor there at the current moment. I know that some of you don't like it, but guys, we got to wake up to reality. We have to wake up and listen, from my point of view, in doing this show 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, we have had the conversations on this exact show of what the House settlement case is and will be. In the discussions that you and I have had about the House settlement case, there was a warning shot across the bow in saying, listen, hey, everybody, LSU fans, I know you don't want to talk about it, but realistic changes have got to be made if LSU wants to keep their head above water. I know a lot of you that are in this chat right now that have already commented, that have heard this conversation right now. Guys, I don't give two flying dog shits or two Rudy Poos if a jersey has a logo on it, when literally, if it gives my team the benefit of the doubt, one logo, now you get more than one, I start having issues. Regardless of that, they got to put themselves in a current situation to make sure that they can compete. Guys, I think it's a very innovative idea. It's not one that they created up on their own. The New York Yankees, who for the longest time did not allow their players to have facial hair, which I thought was the dumbest rule, they sold it to Link a patch on their jersey for upwards of $20 million. The New York Yankees. Guys, can you pay your football roster with one advertisement? Because if LSU hypothetically gets $10 to $15 million and they're able to have the financial freedom, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that we have a problem with that. It really does blow my mind. I get it. I see some of you in the chat. You don't like it. You don't like it. I get it. But my God, the things that we allow to get worked up by, and this guy, Zach Barnett at Football Scoop, again, might be a great guy. Don't know the man. But him going out there and saying it's an unforgivable mistake by LSU. Buddy, you're the one who acts like that you got stuff going on and talk to people at LSU. Why don't you call up Scott Woodward and tell him that? You can't have hot takes and you won't have the conversation to his face. You don't have to come out $20 million and then spend $50 million on a basketball facility. All of this seems good and dandy and all that shit. Oh, I want to moan and gripe and complain. At some point, we got to wake up to reality. Got to wake up to reality. You know, I would say this. If I'm able to negotiate and have financial freedom for a 5-star edge rusher out of the state of Florida, and he comes to LSU over Miami, Florida, Bama, Georgia, and I'm bitching about a patch on a jersey, how dare I? You know, it's funny. A lot of you, when Gordon McKernan came out there and graciously donated money and helped in NIL, he was a hero. Guys, I'm telling you, this will help in recruiting. This will help the football administration. This will help everybody. And Scott Woodward still hasn't even got it approved yet. Guys, this isn't even approved by the NCAA. And in knowing as chaotic and stupid as they are, they're probably not going to even approve it. Who knows? I think that they should. You were the first team to do it. You're the first team to apply for it. I guarantee you this. If LSU passes this and the NCAA gives the okay, guys, you won't be the last. Everybody will do it. At some point, you don't have a choice. None of you that are in this show, you can say whatever you want. You can be big and bad and say to yourself, well, I'm not watching anymore. You're full of dog shit. You need to go get some Pepto-Bismol and get that shit up out you because you're full of it. Seriously. Guys, I want every LSU athletic part of this institution to be elite at what they do. Having a Raising Cane's patch or an AYS sports patch on, on the jersey doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. I agree with some of you. More than one is insane. But I don't care how LSU wins as long as they do it. Nevertheless, we're live. Tony Seasoning says, David, yeah, who all do you think will be the sponsors? Chico's Bail Bond says Rodney Kraft. Blue Plate says Jesse O'Neill. Yeah. David says, hell, Nike has always had their logo on college uniforms. Let's get Coke on there now. Get whoever you need. Guys, like get whoever you need to get on the jersey to give you the financial freedom to not be underwater. Do it. Don't be egregious with it. And by the way, just throwing it out there, if you think that that's the worst thing that's going to happen, guys, naming rights on the field has already happened. Go watch Tennessee versus Bama last year and go look at the 20-yard line and you'll see a big-ass thing that says Pilot, like the gas station, on it because Jimmy Haslam is their biggest booster. Gives hundreds of millions of dollars, has given hundreds of millions of dollars to Tennessee. Hundreds of millions. Guys, it's the way of the world. And at some point, some of you got to wake up. Andrew Paulsell Martin says, put the Freds logo on there. That will have the least amount of complaints. It's probably true. Unless you're Justin Jefferson or Jordan Jefferson. Just a silly little joke. Noah Mason says Canes maybe. I'm sure he'll do it. I see this in here. Vic Nettle says, let's put on the Tesla patch. Could you imagine having Elon funding your NIL? If Elon buys us a dynasty for football, he can send my fat ass up to Mars. Huh? Send me up to Mars. Buy me 10 national titles in football, and I'll go to Mars for you. Come on, man. What are we talking about? The same feeling that you get when Jay Johnson starts a dynasty with baseball, you got to do what you got to do, bro. I see a lot of you complaining. But he can send my big ass up to Mars, and I won't care. Send me in one of them battery-filled rockets. Todd Davis says Oracle should be on Michigan's jersey. Hashtag Ellison. Yeah, Larry Ellison. Come on, man. I mean, he basically bought Bryce Underwood. Gosh, if you're going to play, you got to pay. It's where we are in the world. Sure. Guys, when Joe Burrow threw his fourth touchdown to Justin Jefferson in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and there's a big-ass patch on his chest that says Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on it. No one said on the fourth touchdown that he threw to Justin Jefferson, nobody was like, man, you know what? That damn Chick-fil-A patch really bugs the shit out of me. Nobody says that stupid shit. No one. Come on, man. Come on. All right. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I mean, the things. George Sill, our good buddy, George Sill. George, good to see you, buddy. Hope everything's going well, my friend. Good to see George Sill in here. He says, Exxon Mobil right there in BR. Exxon, I will take the fall for any oil spill that you have. I'll take a 2-year lick in prison if it means a 10-year natty run. The legendary of Blake Ruffino going to federal prison over, put it on me. But I'm going to need $100 million. Pay me $100 million, and LSU ain't ever losing another fucking game. I'd be giving out money like candy, dog. Oh, you need $5 million? Shit. Now, eventually that money will run out, but I mean, we're going to have to go find some more. It's just the truth. All right. When we come back, LSU did get a 5-star today in Trenton Henderson. We'll talk about the Pensacola native and what it means. Is Brian Kelly and the LSU Fighting Tigers going to go on a little bit of a recruiting run here? We'll talk about that. Jay Johnson still recruiting in the portal. James DeCramer was on campus yesterday. We'll talk about the big picture out of Oregon State, what I think LSU is still lining up to baseball-wise and doing that. Derek Curiel named the D1 Baseball Freshman of the Year. We'll discuss that, and at the end, we'll talk a little bit of football as well. Before I forget about it, we did a way too early breakdown of Clemson on our YouTube channel. It is on Facebook, I think, as well. I think the guys posted it on Facebook as well. Go over there. You can check it out. We did a 30-minute thing from with our good friends over at Service Hawk Digital Media. We talked about Clemson. Guys, you're less than 2 weeks away from SEC Media Days being here. Guys, we're almost here. We're getting really close. So we got that over there. You can go check it out. All right. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. When we come back, we got lots to discuss. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. Have You want to buy or sell? Well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick.
We're back.
All right. Let's get to it here. So, LSU, Kevin Peoples, Brian Kelly, and Blake Baker, get a massive commitment today from five-star edge rusher, 6'4", 225-pound defensive end from Pensacola, Florida, and Trenton Henderson. Guys, if you have seen Trenton Henderson and if you've seen his film, the kid is very good with being able to have bend on the edge. He's done a lot of different things in a lot of different positions. He's played the 5 technique, certain passing downs in high school. He's moved to the 3 technique inside. A lot of special things Trenton Henderson has been able to do defensively already in high school. Your third 5-star recruit per 247 Sports with Tristan Keys, Richard Anderson, and Trenton Henderson, 2 of those coming on the defensive line. In reference to Trenton Henderson, what I would say is this: a highly athletic guy that you can use in multiple different ways. We talked about the bend. There have been some situations where we saw in the state of Florida him running down some highly athletic guys, highly rated guys from other schools and institutions inside the state of Florida. Pensacola not being that far from Louisiana as well. Very beautiful this time of year is Pensacola as well. Like I said, can play the 5 technique, can play head up the tackle, has shown the physicality and the tools of having the physicality right now. A guy that is athletic enough to stand up on the edge and really has done some good things. I saw him have a dip and rip move. I saw him hit a spin, inside spin move. I saw him do a bull rush, getting to the quarterback 3 different ways already in high school. Now, as any kid coming into college, I do think he needs to put on some weight, but good weight. Needs to get up a little bit stronger. There was a game, I think, last year he faced off against a 4-star tackle, and it was an outright dogfight and battle that he ultimately wound up winning at the end of the season. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. I forget the year that it was. Regardless, guys, you have gone out there and gone out of state to get a top 25, or I say top 25, but really a top 30 player in the country in Trenton Henderson. I know what a lot of you are going to say that are in the chat right now. I'm not even looking at it. You're going to say, well, Blake, we got to keep him committed. And that's very true. Because Texas, Florida, and yourself was all after this kid, and you were the one that got him. He can play. I think the bigger thing here that I want to point out is you're adding Trenton Henderson already with having a massive commitment from a guy like Richard Anderson from Edna Carr, the number 26 player in the country, the number one player inside the state of Louisiana per 247 and on 3. Guys, it might not be the only one along the defensive line that you're getting depending on what happens with Lamar Brown, regardless of what position that he plays. There is a potential that you have 2 5-star defensive tackles and a 5-star edge rusher under Blake Baker, under LSU and Brian Kelly. That shit is elite. It's elite. Now, LSU currently sits, depending on what service that you look at, top 5, top 6 in the country. They are very much in the potential, if they're able to hold on to some of these kids and they're able to hang on to Tristan Keys, Richard Anderson, Trenton Henderson, if they're able to hold on, guys, they've bona fidely put themselves in a position to push for, not get yet, push for one of the top overall classes inside of, well, the 2026 overall class. Lamar Brown out of Baton Rouge is set to make a commitment very soon. I think it was July the 10th. I didn't write that down, but I'm pretty sure it's July the 10th that he is going to make that commitment. I feel very good at where you sit for the 6'4", 285-pound athlete that is Lamar Brown. But you're not done defensively. There were some guys that you also brought in here over the last couple of days that I think that LSU can still go after and get into this recruiting class. Defensively, I start off with Blaine Bradford. Guys, here's the overall truth. I hope that LSU is able to flip him. If you do, you got a really good defensive line class that you're bringing in. You go and get a bona fide safety, which is going to be, and I'm going to say this, almost impossible unless you start doing the things that you need to get done. Relationship building, winning games on the field. Because quite honestly, and I'm probably going to get in trouble in saying this, but Ohio State's got a weapon that LSU doesn't. And no, it's not wins, and no, it's not money. They know what it is. It's off the field personnel. I look at this situation and say, I hope that LSU's able to flip him. But I want to take a screenshot at the current moment here. I want to take a screenshot at the current moment because there is still Deuce Gerald's that's out there. I do think he's going to Ohio State for what it's worth. But I look at the current situation and say to myself, man, that is how you get into the playoffs. When you build up front, that is how elite teams and elite situations are built. Brian Kelly, for all of his faults, has had situations where in recruiting, LSU is standing back with their hands up saying, hey, man, we were in the fight. We lost this one. Guys, you have not had the recruiting on the defensive line in the tenure of Brian Kelly like you have in this class. This is what Georgia does. It's what Georgia does. You want to play like Georgia. You want to be like Georgia. You want to act like Georgia. You want to win the SEC. You got to dominate up front. The reason that I love this situation so much, considering that you could have the potential to get Lamar Brown, and I'm hypothetically speaking that he just plays defense. You could have a situation where you getting those 3 guys along the defensive line, which I don't think that you're done there, by the way. You get to a situation where, hey, all of those losses that you had under Brian Kelly early, when you're giving up 250 yards on the ground, if you hit on these kids, guys, that shit starts changing by the way that you recruit. It starts changing. And it starts changing very, very quickly. Now, again, we've talked about Richard Anderson. We talked about Lamar Brown. But even you bringing in a kid like Aiden Hall, the safety or corner, but I think he's a safety, out of Edna Carr. Bringing in other guys like Jermichael Garrett, who just decommitted from Auburn. Let's see what happens there. But, man, you look at this situation and say to yourself, hey, you want to win big. You want to be in the playoff at the end of the year. The way that you do that is recruiting like this. LSU's not done. They can't be done. They can't be. I still think over the next couple of weeks and even into the season and even at the end of the season, there are kids that LSU's highly after, and I think they're going to land on them. I don't know if you end with a number 1 overall class. I don't. I legitimately don't know if you end with the number 1 class. I think a top 3 is definitely doable. I think it's more than definitely doable for what you can do here. Again, a lot of really good prospects, a lot of really good kids that are already in this class. The other thing that I would say here, let me get to my notes here. The other thing that I would say, when I am looking at the 2023 class and I'm looking how it could unfold, here are some guys that LSU is still after that we need to pay attention to. Darius Gray, the interior offensive lineman, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country. He's from St. Christopher's School in Richmond, Virginia, which at the current moment On3 projects that he may be LSU bound at 51% and South Carolina being at 33%. A couple other guys that LSU is after, Calvin Russell, who is a 5-star dude. The 6'6", 190-pound wide receiver out of Opelika, Florida, out of Northwestern is the high school. Also per On3, has a 72% projection that LSU will get a commitment there. I know I'm speaking tonight in a lot of hypotheticals. I do not know what is going to happen in those 2 recruitments. If you do land and those 2 commitments and you hold on elsewhere, that's when you'll get to the number 1 overall class. Guys, if you get 5-star kids in a class, that's when shit starts getting elite. Again, I can only say this so much. You got to hold on. But if you do, sky's the limit. Emmanuel Ruffin, the defensive lineman out of Alabama, is someone else that I think that LSU fans need to watch here in the upcoming, I'd say, I'm just going to say months, in the upcoming months. I do think that there are some things that LSU needs to do. I think they still need to go after some offensive linemen. I don't know what you do at quarterback. If you look at this class, you do not have a quarterback yet again in this current class. You have not had a quarterback in last year's class unless you want to count Michael Van Buren. Now, I guess you technically could say, well, Colin Hurley reclassified, and I guess technically you could try to make it in your own little light to make yourself feel better on the current situation. Guys, at some point you got to go get a QB. I've stressed this enough. Look, you could have the number 1 overall class and have done some elite things, but it not be complete. Not having a quarterback in the class makes it not complete to me, especially when you didn't get one in the last class. Now, I've painted this scenario before. If you look at it objectively, the way that we're going to try to look at it objectively here tonight, if you look at it objectively, there can be a situation where you get to a place where at the end of the season, we all know that Garrett Nussmeier is leaving. After Garrett Nussmeier leaves, you have Michael Van Buren, Colin Hurley, and Juwan Johnson. Depending on whoever wins that battle, I'm hypothetically throwing out a name. Let's say that Michael Van Buren, who you brought in from Mississippi State, wins that battle. Does Colin Hurley stick around for what could be a multi-year run if Michael Van Buren, who was a freshman last year, I think will be your number 2, but LSU will put him in a situation where he can redshirt this year and then go into next season as a redshirted sophomore. If you have Juwan Johnson if you have Colin Hurley and Michael Van Buren wins that job, what do you do at quarterback? What do you do? What do you do at quarterback? Because I don't think Colin Hurley or Juwan Johnson sticks around. If Juwan Johnson sticks around, I think it's mainly due to the fact that they moved his position again for LSU. I do not think that he will be a starting quarterback for LSU. I do not. Do I think they'll have certain packages for him? Maybe. Will he be a every down starting quarterback? I'm very skeptical on that. Very, very skeptical. Maybe he could. But I don't know if he waits around if Michael Van Buren wins that job. You can have the number 1 overall class and it not be complete. I don't know what LSU's going to do there. I'm not going to come out here and try to fool you on what I think that LSU's going to do at quarterback. But at minimum, you're going to have to go into the portal. Because I just don't know if I can envision a world where Colin Hurley and Juwan Johnson, if they both want to play, stick around. Now, I will make another emphasis here. And the third thing that we'll discuss about in this, I do think that you are in a situation where we and myself and all of us, if they continue, does LSU at recruiting at the level that they are recruiting from the high school ranks. It should be celebrated. It will be celebrated. There is something that is massively missing that you got to go and get. I think two things can be true at once. You're recruiting at a level in some positions that you have not recruited at massive key positions that win you national titles and playoff games. Guys, you cannot sustain without dominating on both lines of scrimmage. It doesn't exist. Go look at the teams that are winning national titles and look at what they're doing on both lines of scrimmage. It doesn't exist. It's why Saban brought in 5 offensive linemen in every single class that he ever had. Not literally every one, but it was never less than 3. Actually, if I'm pretty confident at Alabama, it was no less than 4, if we're being blunt. I can live with, here's the third point, to reemphasize this. I think LSU can survive very easily not getting a high school quarterback in these back-to-back classes. Because in the 2027 class, the number 1 overall prospect in the country is Elijah Haven out of Baton Rouge Dunham. If the price for getting Elijah Haven is missing in this one and not getting Bryce Underwood, I will be honest, I'm okay with it. It doesn't solve the immediate next year need. Because God bless Captain America if something happens where Michael Van Buren is running down the sideline and his helmet pops off and you got to throw a walk-on quarterback out there, which I do not believe that LSU will do. I do not believe that they will do that at all, not remotely close. Depth will become an issue. Quarterback is also a position where the portal is, you can go in there and get guys. I know a lot of you are probably thinking that I'm over-stressing in this situation, but I don't think you could ever over-stress at quarterback. It's the biggest position in sports for a reason. So, yeah. All right. Oh, my neck. Man, I went to a chiropractor a while back, and I think I need to go again. I be sleeping on them pillows wrong. Blank Face on YouTube says, I feel like you're such a QB attractive school, we can get any transfer. You're such a QB attractive school that you should be getting any high school quarterback in the country too. I mean, guys, you had 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and you can't get a kid out of high school. One because of money, the other because I don't think he had faith in what you're doing. I mean, it's not really my words that's even saying that. I know that I just technically said that. In Bo Bentley's article, the On 3 last week, it stated that I trust the staff at Oklahoma. I like and trust what they're doing moving forward offensively. What does that mean? That you think that LSU that you don't with LSU? I don't know. And who knows? Maybe Bo Bentley does transfer back here. Who really knows? All right, a couple of super chats. Todd says, Blake, you missed my super chat yesterday. Todd, can you tell me what your super chat was? I got to get to Frank's too. Apparently, they didn't. It didn't get marked down. Todd, very quickly, tell me what your super chat was yesterday. We'll get to it. Dylan Smith with a $5 super chat says, I'll make a statement. If BK doesn't make the playoffs, he's got to be gone. Lane Train in Baton Rouge would be dirty. Man. Look. There are a couple of things about this comment. Let me bring it back up. Dylan, there's 2 things I'd say. Number 1, I do think it's playoffs or bust. I don't think that anybody will or would deny that. However, guys, you're not listen. We just started off a show saying that LSU's got to spend or get an advertisement for $20+ million to stay afloat with the TV revenue stuff. You think that LSU is about to spend $50 million for a coach that goes 8-4, 9-3 again? I don't see it. I got to be real. I just do not see it. Not for next year. I don't. We got to have faith, man, that they make a playoff. They got to find a way. In reference to the Lane Train, BK's like 7-2 against Lane. Maybe 7-3. Maybe 7-3. I don't know. Todd, put your comment in the chat, buddy. Oh, here it is. So back to Todd. He says, I was saying it was awesome that Holly Rowe did a story on Jaden Daniels for ESPN about showing up at 4 to 5 a.m. each day. Wow, it paid off. Yeah, it did. It did. A part of that squad was all the receivers, starting receivers, and it was Chris Hilton, who we talked about last night, who won Freak of the Week. Alexander Taylor with a $2 super chat says, is AJ Halsey on campus? I'm pretty sure he's on campus. I mean, I haven't been necessarily keeping up with AJ Halsey. I can find out for you. I'm almost like 99.9% sure he's on campus. Yes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that 0.1% is going to get my ass. I'm pretty sure he's on campus. Jenkins with a $5 super chat says, if tasked with recruiting both Little Nuss and Haven, how do you manage that? You don't recruit one of them. You don't go get another quarterback when you got the number 1 player in the country that you should get committed out of your own state at quarterback. With all due respect to little baby Nuss, to Garrett's brother, who's going to be a quarterback in the 2027 class as well. There is no way on earth that I am remotely close to going and getting 2 quarterbacks to mess up something. You got to pick one. Now, Pop Houston in that 2027 class is also a 5-star kid. If you miss out on Elijah Haven, I'm going after him. Jenkins, listen, I am not going to tell Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan how to recruit. They have well more enough experience than I do. There's just no way. Like, it makes no sense. Now, maybe Nussmeier wants to be at LSU and it wouldn't bother him. And if you can tell Elijah Haven and ask him and he says, it's no problem to me, I'm going to go here and compete and it's no problem, and you get both of them, fine. But I'm telling I'm not telling Nussmeier or Haven, I am not telling them come in here and compete. Come in here and compete. That's how you lose a kid like Elijah Haven at quarterback. I don't think it's him running from competition. I think it's like, hey man, why are you doing this for this kid? Because his brother played here, which is great. I love it. But at the same time, man, I want you buying into me. You don't do it. I've seen a lot of people not wanting to or tiptoeing around that conversation. Stop tiptoeing around the conversation. Stop having it. Clemson alumni says, per Google's AI, Kelly holds a slight edge, head-to-head record 3-2. No, they faced off with each other, I think 3 or 4 every year that he was at. Every year, I think how many years was Kiffin at USC? Wasn't it 3? He beat him all 3 years when he was at Notre Dame, and then he's beaten him twice a year, so 5-2. It's not 3-2. Dylan Smith says, throw the kitchen sink and the silverware at Haven. I don't care. Bryson Haven, completely different. Keep the boot locked up. I agree. And look, the Nussmeier kid, you have 3 quarterbacks that are really good inside the state. I get it. You got to go get one of them. I just don't think that that's a slight at all. And I don't think that that's a very hot take either. All right. Let me get to a quick break. We'll come back and talk some baseball portal news as well. Big recruiting show. Didn't anticipate it to be that, but here we are. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. All right. I see a debate going on in the chat. It's about Lane Kiffin because I didn't answer the question in the super chat in reference to Lane Kiffin would be dangerous in Baton Rouge. Lane Kiffin would be dangerous in Baton Rouge. He'd be dangerous in Baton Rouge, but I, again, think of multiple things could be true at once. I think he has not been able to beat Brian Kelly, and that is something that you need to take into account. He's 2-5, 2-4, whatever it is. I thought it was 2-7, but maybe I'm wrong there. 2-4, 2-5, whatever, against Brian Kelly. I do think what he's done at Ole Miss is highly impressive. I don't expect Ole Miss, who never had a 10-win regular season until he got there, to get to an SEC championship game. Guys, they don't have the infrastructure. They do not spend the money in high school recruiting like that. They cannot do it. Him winning 10 games constantly at Ole Miss, guys, is pretty freaking good. I do think it'd be interesting to see what he would do in Baton Rouge. Gus, he wants the job. The thing with Kiffin, though, that I would say, are you willing to put up with all of his antics? Some of you say that you're willing to date the toxic girl, but when she's constantly flirting with other dudes and she's always doing toxic shit, at some point you start getting tired of it. You say you want it now, but are you going to want it when some shit pops off and you're just tired of it? Do you want to date the toxic girl? He's gotten better over the years, but we'll see, buddy. We'll see, guys. I don't know why I said buddy, but we'll see. Let's see what BK does here. If BK can get this team to a playoff, I think that is all mute. And the conversations that we have now about Brian Kelly also feel a little bit mute here in some regard. All right. Very quickly before we wrap up and get out of here. James DeCramer, the third out of Oregon State, who had 8 appearances last year for Oregon State, who had a 3.86 ERA in 20-plus innings pitched, had 24 strikeouts, and 15 base on balls. He was in Baton Rouge this past week. A big right-handed guy out of the state of Arizona has made his way to LSU and Louisiana. It is very obvious to me that LSU is continuously going after guys in the portal that they think that can pitch here. A kid in high school who was throwing in the upper to mid-90s in certain situations had some pretty good outings. And what I would say is a typical freshman role for a team that made it to Omaha. DeCramer is a kid that I'm sure that Jay Johnson has a lot of connections with coming out of the state of Arizona. he was a little bit wild in year one at Oregon State. Guys, it kind of feels like you're just in a situation with DeCramer. If he does come here, you do feel like that Yeski and maturity with the young man can get him over the hurdle and be able to work with him. Guys, he's got elite stuff. I don't know where that elite stuff is going. I really do not. But because he ironically kind of had a year at Oregon State, a lot like what Cade Anderson had in year one, to some regards. Didn't have the dominance that Cade did. I do look at some of the right-handed arms that you would have, and if he came, that you would bring in. Guys, I think you got a damn solid pitching staff, personally. I really do. I think that you've hit on some of these. By the way, Devin Sheeran, who was up to 98, 99 as a starter, who tore his ACL, who was killing it this summer. What does he turn into? Because you could be in a situation where, like, hey, maybe right now from a pitching perspective, this is how I feel. Because they're not massive names, because Devin Sheeran's name gets lost, we think, oh, well, we got Case and Evans, can William Schmidt. Guys, you got some elite young talent that's coming in. You got some very elite and young talent that's coming back for you. This pitching staff under Nate Yeski, guys, it's kind of developing in his image. I do wonder how a lot of that young talent responds to a situation in year two. Is Case and Evans your ace? Is it Devin Sheeran? Does one of the lefties that you got come out of nowhere and just really start taking over? I do not know. Guys, you got a lot of top 100 kids coming out of high school that are on your pitching staff. You have guys like Case and Evans. You have guys like William Schmidt. You have guys like Devin Sheeran, who all people believe that are going to pitch at the next level. Regardless of all of that, you got to hope. I think that I am going to give Jay Johnson and Nate Yeski the benefit of the doubt that they've shown that they can develop at an elite level and push forward here. From a pitching perspective, they've done a really good job, in my opinion. Now, there are a lot of things that we need to see from the position level of things. We have talked about this a lot. I don't know if Ethan Fry is coming back or not. You can make the argument either way. The slot value of where he's at right now versus the money that he can make in TV revenue and NIL would probably be about the same with LSU, and probably about the same where he would go in the draft and the money that he would get from the Major League Baseball draft. He didn't play a position last year. He was DHing 99.9% of the time, did get in the outfield some. I think it was the A&M series that he got in the outfield, maybe South Carolina. I don't remember. I don't know what his goals and aspirations are at the current moment. Neither do I know with Chris Stanfield. And for that matter, Danny Dickinson. I don't think Danny Dickinson is returning, being a top 100 prospect and being in the double digits and not triple digits on where he finds himself in. We got to see. Hypothetically, there goes that word again, if LSU loses Stanfield, loses Fry, loses Dickinson, which I'm pretty sure that we feel maybe outside of Chris Stanfield is where the current situation's going to lie. You need to go get some power bats. You bring in Seth Dardar, you bring in Braden Simpson. Guys, both guys who have shown, which I don't know if y'all saw the video with Braden Simpson. Braden Simpson from High Point, the transfer that can play third base for you, can smash. Dardar played some first base at Kansas State. He played second base at Kansas State. He can do either one of them. So if you want to move Tanner Reeves to second, you want to move Dardar to first, I don't care how you play it or how you do it. Dardar is another one that could come in here and with extended playing time, guys, could get to 20 bombs. He could get to 20 home runs. He can get there. You got some power. I do think that you might need another power bat, if you're asking me. I don't know if one is out there. Not at the level of the competition that LSU will face off with. You do bring back Derek Curiel, who we'll talk about in just a second. You do bring back Jake Brown. I do not know what you do with the other outfielder position. I will throw this name out there to you. Will Gasparino from Texas. I would not be surprised if Jay Johnson, who has a lot of connections in Major League Baseball, would not use a connection to Gasparino to see the interest level. I don't know if Gasparino is going back out to UCLA. UCLA secretly is doing some really interesting things in baseball. You bring back Chalowski. If you brought in Gasparino, guys, that's two high-level first-round athletes. I wouldn't be surprised if conversations were happening there. If they are, that's a guy with the body size, and if he had a better offensive mind at the plate to be behind him like a Jay Johnson, I'd be very intrigued to see what he does. Have no clue either way that one will lean. Gasparino comes from a very high intelligent, World Series winning family. I would take the kid. Your outfield would be the most athletic outfield in the entire country. Jake Brown, Gasparino, and Derek Curiel would be absolutely elite. And then you would probably, with adding Simpson and Dardar, guys, you have a squad. You might have a little bit of a squad here. Don't know what's going to happen. I love the potential. I love what you have here. So we'll see. I'm not reading the comment from Bayou Bros. The second one. I'm not doing it. Nola P says he would drive me nuts talking about Lane Kiffin. It would be like Coach O on steroids. Well, you just don't want to answer for his antics because you go out there and lose, and then he starts blaming you. I mean, guys, he went out there and lost to Georgia 2 years ago and blamed Ole Miss saying, you don't give me enough money. What do you expect me to do? You go out there next year and lose to Kentucky. I would rather ask Urban Meyer to unretire before I ask Lane Kiffin. Boy, y'all were debating about this one. This one really got after y'all. All right, before we wrap up, D1 Baseball came out today and said their freshman of the year was Derek Curiel. Derek Curiel, I had all of Derek's stats up. I don't know why I threw my book down. I have no idea why I threw my book down. Stupid by me. But Dylan Volantis won the SEC Freshman of the Year this year, the big lefty out of Texas, who was absolutely stellar for the Longhorns this past season. At the time that was announced that Dylan Volantis won the SEC Freshman of the Year, I came in here and blew my shit. I don't think a closer on any team at any level at any time should win any award for that matter unless they do something absolutely insane statistically where they should get it over a position player. I will give an example, and this guy wasn't even a closer. I don't think the best player in baseball at really any given moment should be recognized as the best player overall in a certain situation when they don't play every day unless your name is Paul Skeens and you do what Paul Skeens did. College baseball has been played for a long time, and Paul Skeens broke the strikeout record in college baseball. If something like that happens, then I understand it. But last year, Derek Curiel hit .345 with a .470 on base percentage, where he slugged .519. He had 53 walks in 68 games. 53 walks in 68 games as a freshman. That's Dylan Cruz, worthy for your behind. He had 7 home runs with 20 doubles, 2 triples, with 55 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases on the season. Guys, there was not a better freshman in the country than Derek Curiel. Doesn't exist. There were times in the season where Derek Curiel, whether it be West Virginia, whether it be against Texas, speaking of Texas, whether it be the National Series, College World Series final, where he blew the game wide open with a single right back up the middle to score 2 runs, and you would go on to win game 2 and win a national title. Regardless of the situation, Derek Curiel, I feel like the entire season I saw people on social media saying he will be special at LSU. No, my good friends. He is special. He always was special. He hit 7 long balls this year. Guys, there's a strong chance with the size and strength that he's going to put on, who's to say that he doesn't double that and get to 14? He's got the eye to ball recognition. He sees it very clearly. If and when that happens, you got to ask the question, are you putting a number 6 in the rafters? I still think they needed to give it to Dylan Cruz, and I still think they need to give it to Paul Skeens. That's neither here nor there. Glad Derek was recognized for that award. I know it's a big deal. Gus, he's the best player on your team going into next season. He is a dude. You go as Derek Curiel goes. That's how next season will roll. I did not agree with Jay Johnson when he moved him down on the lineup, and then he hits a 3-run bomb against West Virginia, and Jay makes me look dumb. Glad I didn't publicly say that until now. Jay always pushing the right buttons when they're needed the most. Guys, it's one of the best players. I think Derek Curiel, when it's all said and done, we're going to look back in this in 10 years and say, man, Derek Curiel was one of the most special players to ever put on an LSU uniform. That's what I think. Glad he won the award. Proud of him. Just continues to make LSU look good. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a great night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.